Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1296A, and today's date is June 2nd, 2017, and the title of the episode is Putin Warns the World the Global Economy is About to Change. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been following these job numbers for the United States for quite a while, during the Great Recession all the way through Obama's 2 terms, up until now. And we pick them apart. We understand they don't count those people that have fallen off, those people who haven't been on an interview within 4 weeks. They consider them, well, they just don't want a job. They don't care to work. They don't want any of that. And what we're seeing right now is that the job market, well, it's not doing too well. And this tells me that they're preparing to explain why the economy is not doing as well as it has been. Remember, we have 2 things happening at this point. We have Trump playing their game, going along with them, saying, yes, look at my stock market, I'm boosting it. Look at the job numbers, they're incredible. I'm bringing jobs back in here. The economy's fantastic. He really hasn't done anything. He has nothing to do with the stock market. These job numbers are completely manipulated. Remember, Obama's people are still within the government. They're still manipulating. And all these manufacturing jobs, they didn't come back to the United States. No manufacturing jobs really came back to the United States. He became president. I mean, a lot of promises. And all of this is done for what is coming after the entire system collapses. But when we look at these job numbers, they're very interesting. We see that there's 138,000 jobs that were added. This was far below what they expected. They thought it was going to be around 185,000. April, well, yes, that was revised, and it was revised from 211,000 down to 174,000. And the Fed, maybe they have the evidence they need to raise the interest rates, because think about it. The unemployment rate dropped to 4.3%, and the economy looks fantastic at this point. But manufacturing jobs, they declined sharply, posting the weakest growth of 2017. And if we look at the household survey, it revealed an even uglier picture as the number of employed workers declined by 233,000 to 152,923, the lowest since March. Now, there was something that was positive in this jobs report. We saw that the unemployment rate, well, it dropped from 4.4% to 4.3%, which we know is completely manipulated. Because when we look at the labor force participation rate, what happened to that? It went from 69.9% to 62.7%. 608,000 Americans left the job market. There are now 94.983 million people who are completely out of the job market. And we know why this is happening. Full-time job, corporate jobs, people are getting laid off. The retail industry, well, it's a complete apocalypse. Part-time and full-time jobs, everyone is losing them. And when we look at this, we can see in May, the U.S. lost 360,000 full-time jobs. And there were 133,000 part-time jobs added. And we've been seeing this happen all along. Now, putting this number into context, it was the biggest drop in full-time jobs going back to June 2014. Now, all those manufacturing jobs that were supposed to coming back to the United States, where Trump continually put this on his Twitter feed, 10,000 jobs, 5,000 jobs, well, manufacturing declined by 1,000. The waiter and bartender recovery, well, that continues. There were 30,000 workers added in the food and services and drink places. So where were the jobs? Well, 47,000 jobs were in the leisure and hospitality section. We know there were 30,000 jobs added to the food service and drink. We see that there were 12,900 jobs that were in the temp help service. And when we look at this, we can see that most of the jobs, they were all the low-paying jobs. There weren't high-paying, fantastic jobs that were really added. And we can see right now that basically what is happening at this point is that the part-time waiter and bartender recovery continues. Nothing has changed at all. We are looking at the same exact thing. Think about it. Since 2014, we have added 816,000 food, service, and drink place jobs, part-time jobs. During the same period, we've created 107,000 manufacturing jobs because we've been losing a lot of manufacturing. Some has come back, then we lost some more, and we can see that the cycle, well, it's getting us absolutely nowhere. And the manufacturing jobs most likely is going to get worse because what is happening now in the automobile industry, which is a huge chunk of the manufacturing, well, things aren't going too well. For the 5th straight month, overall auto sales declined again. The domestic light vehicles, their sales were down, and these are the lowest sales numbers going back more than 3 years. So GM is having a lot of problems. We know that Ford's fleet numbers, they are down by 15%. So this is the worst 6-month drop in domestic light vehicles going back to the depths of the financial crisis. The industry-wide selling rate, including imports, slipped in May to about 16.8 million light vehicles, compared with 17.2 million a year ago. This would mark the 3rd straight month of a sales pace short of 17 million vehicles. And what we're seeing right now is that, we discussed this yesterday, the lots, they are so overstuffed right now, they don't have the individuals to go out and purchase these vehicles. So what did they do? They changed the credit rules, where now those people who were subprime, they will have the ability to go purchase things using their credit. Now, they did this on purpose because they realized they're running out of individuals and they need to find these people. Now, from all of this happening, we see that the Atlanta GDP now, they have raised their GDP number to 4%, which makes no sense whatsoever because remember, construction spending, that has declined. Motor vehicle sales, that has declined. April durable goods shipments were down by 0.3%. Wholesale inventories were down by 0.3%. The trade deficit in April widened by 3.8%. Tax receipts, they are down. New home sales, existing home sales, pending home sales, all down. Actually, new home sales down by 11.4%. Empire State Manufacturing has turned negative. And retail, that is just a complete disaster. So when they look at the economy, they're really thinking that this is a 4% GDP economy. They're out of their minds. There's no way. Actually, when we look back in time, and we've been tracking the economy for quite a while, the numbers that are coming out now are the worst we've pretty much seen since the Great Recession. And some of these numbers are even below that, which tells us that the manipulation right now is off the charts. Now, we know that gold and silver, they've been manipulated, and they've been manipulated for a very long time. And we can see right now that there are all these conspiracy theories where people were saying, yes, gold and silver was manipulated, and people said, you're crazy. Who would do this? Nobody would manipulate it. Well, it turns out that, yes, a Deutsche Bank trader, well, finally admitted, finally confirmed that, yes, the biggest banks in the world have conspired to rig precious metal market. The Deutsche Bank trader David Liu pleaded guilty in a federal court in Chicago, where he spoofed gold, silver, platinum, and palladium futures. Now, he knowingly and intentionally did this with other precious metal traders. They worked together to do this. And what he did was he spoofed orders. And it looked like people were buying. Then he would erase those orders and he would make it look like there was demand, there was no demand. And they did this to adjust the prices. And there's a lot of instant messaging text that went back and forth. But this is just the outlier rigging of the precious metals. This is the outlier manipulation. The real manipulation is with the Federal Reserve, with the central bank. They are where that's the heart of it. This whole thing is, yes, they needed some of the banks to help out, and these individuals were told this is what we need to do, and they all worked with each other to do this. So we can see that, yes, precious metals were manipulated, but the real manipulation right now is still being done. It has not ended whatsoever. Now, out in Spain, we see that Spain's sixth largest bank, well, it is imploding on itself. It's in free fall right now. And it looks like the bank, it might need to be liquidated unless there's a last-minute buyer. And this is Banco Popular, and it has crashed as much as 27%, the biggest intraday drop since 1989. And the European banking watchdog, the Single Resolution Board, warned European Union officials that Popular may need to be liquidated or bailed in if they cannot find a buyer. And right now, it looks like nobody wants to pick up the 37 billion euros of soured property loan, and it looks like there's a huge problem. Now, this might start a chain reaction, but I don't think the central bank is just going to let it go. I think they're going to do some manipulation. Maybe they'll push a bailout, or maybe they will do a bail-in, but this is going to be a problem at this point because the rest of the world is going to look at this and say, well, wait a minute. You're taking those individuals' accounts, you're freezing them, you're using those funds. People around the world will look at this and say, maybe I should take my funds out of the banking system. And they don't want that to happen because they experienced this already in Greece. And we can see that most likely they'll do something to manipulate this. They'll do something to save the bank. They always do this. But eventually what's going to happen, one other bank is going to go, another bank is going to go, and it will be a domino effect, and they will not be able to stop all of this. Now, something very interesting happened today. He came out and he talked about the global economy, and he said some interesting things. Here's what he said. The world's economy faces systemic long-term challenges, and there is no time for quarrels. There is the need to unite efforts. We face these long-term challenges, and it is difficult now to calculate the consequences and make forecasts. We should not do that. We don't have the right to fritter away resources, waste effort and time for quarrels, discords, or geopolitical games. What is he saying? He's saying the global economy is about to change, and we don't have time to fight with each other. We don't have time to worry about all these other things, because when this global economy collapses, then is reborn, we need to be ready for it. And he went on to say, only together, through uniting efforts, we can overcome the current misbalances and ensure a stable growth of global economy. He believes that the national economy has entered a new growth phase, and he is determined to support this trend. He says the basis for its future development is being shaped right now. It is essential to support and speed up all of these positive trends in order to achieve outpacing growth rates above the world ones in 2019 and 2020. So when we look at this and we see what he's saying here, that the economy is entering a new phase of growth. The basis for its future development is being shaped. What he is saying is that the old system right now, it is dying. A new system is already here. It's already been developed. And we're going to be going through this transition, and we need to support this new system. He's already out there telling you that it is coming. And what he's saying is that starting in 2019, moving forward, well, we're going to have to really help this new economy along by partnerships, by working with each other, which tells us that from this period until that period, we're going to be going through some type of transition. When it will exactly hit, we don't know. How long it will exactly be, we don't know. But we can make some guesses, because if it does occur during maybe this fall period or in 2018, we know we need to prepare for at least 6 months, a year and a half. If we go by what Cliff High said in his data, he's saying that this is going to last for quite a while, and we need to be prepared for that. So we can see already the warnings are already out there. They already know the economy is about to shift and change into something completely different, and we all need to be ready and prepared for what is coming. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.